building, the concept of manufacturing and creating completely fictional and made-up societies all inside your head, and then crafting them for other people to digest. Now, that is one of my favorite things to do. I know a lot of people, some people are literally just world builders, and that is what they do. They don't even craft like a story to write. They just want to create a world, which honestly, so valid. I'm pretty sure a lot of those people that I met are all D&D masters, dungeon masters, because of that. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Sorry, I'm distracted by the person in front of me. I think their blinkers don't work. I'm paying attention to their arm signals. Even that is a part of world building. Someone decided that if your car is broken, that you have to use this kind of hand signal to show that you are going to be getting over, or whatever. Very, very interesting. Like every little thing that happens. Now, the concept of like when world building, something that I know I struggle with and many people struggle with is actually over world building to the point where you never write the story or never get to play the game because you're too invested into getting all the details. But I don't know, I feel like they go hand in hand. As I craft the story, I know what I need the world to be. So we're going to use a sci-fi story as the example because that is my most fleshed out world. And with that, it's very interesting how things came together. There have been many different iterations of certain things where I've had to tweak things and change them around so it could better fit the story and the messages I'm trying to get across into the story and the things I'm trying to emulate. So something about Star Wars is, yes, it's sci-fi, but honestly, it's more fantasy than it is sci-fi in my opinion. It's science fiction for sure, but so much of it leans on the Force and the Jedi and everything that it feels way more fantasy than it does sci-fi sometimes. So it's a sci-fi fantasy. In mine, I was like, yes, I do want the sci-fi aspect 100%, but I want the fantasy aspect too. And I want to explore certain things from fantasy that are just fun. And some of that is the concept of magic within planets. Like something that I really enjoyed about the Dragon Prince and Arcane and Avatar was that the magic system, Avatar: The Last Airbender and Avatar: The Blue People actually both work for this one, is the way magic is literally in the planet, and it's not just like this mystical thing, but it actually makes sense within the concept of the world. And then I was watching a YouTube video the other day, Mystic Worlds, that I think that's the YouTuber's name, where they were talking about how magic systems don't just have to be related to the person, they could be related to the world, and the world could actually get tired. And maybe you're trying to create a flame, but the world is like, I'm depleted. Which I know stories do that, where like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you don't have earth, you can't do it. You can't, or you don't have water, you can't use your bending. And in the Dragon Prince, if you're not connected to the Arcanum, if you don't have this, if you don't have that, it's kind of how it is. But like, what about earth fatigue? Like, it's just tired. It's not that it's not there, but it's been used so much by so many mages or something. I don't know, it's just that was an interesting concept. And thinking about how the world could be different. And when world building, I think about what would be interesting, and then I also think about what would complement the story and what would help get themes across. So it's almost like, I don't know, it's interesting because it's also hard to explain how exactly I world build, because I'm just looking at it and I'm like, that would be interesting, I think this is cool. Taking things from our own cultures, our own societies here on Earth, in the real world, is also helpful. And in creating all these worlds and stuff, I have learned so much about our world, and I continue to learn more because I'm creating languages too. There's 4 languages being created at the moment. Because there's Eris, and they have different dialects, they have different versions of their language, because there's Old Erishan and then there's New Erishan. And then they actually have a different word for the language. It's been so long since I've worked with it. But there's that, and then there's Frisian, and then there's like the basic, which obviously we just read it in English, but it's really fun to include, because in most languages, or if not all, there are things that just are not translatable. Well, you could, but it would just take so long to explain, or like the true explanation is just lost unless you understand this language. And I always find that really fun, so I thought it would just be cool to have certain things like that. And then also because their day system is different, they also have different words for it, because they have 8 days in a week rather than 7. So it's not like I can just say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday again, or like at the 8th day. Like honestly, I guess if it's translated, I'd probably go first, second, third, like that kind of thing. But it would just make more sense if they had words for it, just like we do, if that makes sense. And so just going based off of that. Yeah, and then I was just thinking, if they're a scientific society, maybe they would think about it differently. Maybe their time would be different. What if they had a blue sun instead of a red sun? What changes that? And it's just a lot of research and interesting facts and things I get to learn. It's just cool. And world building's fun. And I could talk about the worlds forever and the things that I've made. Especially when I'm looking at it, I'm going through and explaining stuff about the world. I'm not entirely sure even where to start. I know that I don't have the language memorized yet because it's been so long, and languages are things you kind of got to keep up on. When you make your own language, it's still learning a new language. You have to learn the language that you made and keep it memorized, or you lose it. It's literally the same. But yeah. World building. It's interesting. It's also interesting when you include it in a story. Like Tolkien, I know that he started Lord of the Rings with Elvish, and he was creating this language, and he was like, I need a story for the language. And it kind of happened there, which is very interesting to think about. I say interesting, but it is. Yeah. And I don't know. When on my drive, sometimes I'm thinking, how does the magic system work? If they have this and that, that'd be interesting. And sometimes I'm coming up with new ones that I might use for a story later if I decide to write them down so I can remember. I'm sure there's tons of great ideas that I had that I just didn't write down. Because honestly, some of the best ideas happen like in the shower or like really late at night, and I just don't have, well, one, the first one, I can't write anything down. 2, I'm too tired to write anything down. So, yeah. And then even if I did write it, like, when I woke up or, like, right after, I forget. Like, it's, when you walk into a room and you forgot even what you were doing, it would be like that. I'd be like, what did I say? What was I doing? I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, the world building, very fun. If there's anything like, events and world building and holidays and why the holidays exist. And then once you get into holidays, you can get into religion. And then why were the religions made? How were they followed? Where did they come from? How did they spread? Did they have wars? Are they still here today? How did they change when science took over? All interesting. very fun. Man, now I want to go world build if I didn't have other things to do today, but or in general. But hopefully I can make it a full-time gig in creating things and just stories galore, written as novels, comics, movies, TV shows, anime, or just animation. Yeah, video games. Oh, that'd be so fun too. One day, I will dream. I dream of the world I make and manifest in my head that I will one day bring to the real world. And less fiction. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think it's good to end it there. But yeah, world building's fun. If you haven't tried it before, give it a go. It's fun. It's a lot, but it's fun. Okay, bye.